Hi, this is Tom Shanahan. I'm the author of Spiritual Adrenaline, a lifestyle plan to strengthen and nourish your recovery. You can pick it up on Amazon or at Barnes& Noble. I'm here today with Johnny Armijo. I met Johnny on one of my trips to Pueblo, Colorado. Johnny is employed presently by the Albuquerque Center for Hope and Recovery. He's also the New Mexico coordinator, regional coordinator for Addict to Athlete. That's an organization I talk about a lot here. And he's 3.5 years clean. And Johnny's come on. He's part of the sober active community. He's in New Mexico. And I was interested in finding out, A, what programs are available for folks in New Mexico, B, what's Albuquerque Center for Hope and Recovery, C, what's Addict to Addict doing in New Mexico. So Johnny, welcome so much. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come here and to talk to us today. Can you share some of your background with people that are watching this?
Absolutely. First off, good to see you, Tom. Like, it's been what a pleasure to join you in this amazing spiritual adrenaline kind of rush. So thanks once again. First off, everyone, my name is Johnny Armijo. I'm originally from Pueblo, Colorado, born and raised, where I grew up with, mostly a normal life. I'm the youngest of 7 kids, the only boy. My mom and dad are still married till this day. Great family. So I kind of grew up as the black sheep in my family. The only boy being, I raised a little ruckus. So, to quickly jump into my alcohol abuse and my drug abuse throughout 25 years, I started my first drink at about 11 years old. My dad coming home, I watched him, take a quick drink of vodka, and he put it back in his cabinet where he kept all his work stuff, and that's where I first got my first taste. So it went from there directly to taking big slams of alcohol to school, and being drunk throughout middle school, high school, and it was quite intense throughout those years, but I hit it well, playing sports and family functions and things like that. So it was really just an all-inclusive party for myself. So I actually dealt with being what you can call maybe a closet alcoholic for a lot of years. I got my first DUI when I was 19 years old. Moved along to my second DUI while I was living in Burlington, Vermont. And then I went and grabbed my third one while I was living here in New Mexico. Over those years of addiction, I've been clean for about 3.5 years now, where before that I was an avid user. And now I'm working as a peer support specialist for the Albuquerque Center for Hope and Recovery. And I've been here for a little under 2 years now, which has been an amazing treat for me, to be able to work with people that have been struggling with drugs and alcohol, who've been struggling with that mental health. It's just been a really big pleasure for me. So, with Addict to Athlete as well, when I first got into this program, I really wasn't trying to get clean or get sober. Addict to Athlete was brought to me by Albuquerque Center for Hope and Recovery, and I did it because I wanted to lessen my jail sentence, so to say.
But let me interrupt you because I want to make sure viewers understand. First off, let's talk about what the Albuquerque Center for Hope and Recovery, what services do they provide to people in New Mexico? And then I really want to focus on the transition into Addict to Athlete. Let's hear a little bit about what the center does.
So Albuquerque Center for Hope and Recovery is a peer-run drop-in center. And what that means is everybody on our staff has had some type of lived experience, whether it's physical abuse, mental health issues, substance use. And we've all come together to just be able to help the next person on their journey to recovery.
They're real because you're people who can relate to the circumstances where your client base find themselves to be at this time, right?
Absolutely. And the coolest thing is you could go to a probation officer or a therapist or the judge as well, you know, and they're like, well, listen, this is the way you got to run your recovery. This is the way you got to do this. And what better person than to get that information from is, you know, people who've already been there and kind of rock the boat a little
No,
bit.
absolutely. And I've got to tell you, addicts and alcoholics are stubborn MFs, motherfuckers. And they don't want to listen to anybody, certainly not a judge or a probation officer. So hearing it from someone who's actually lived it, I think, is the real deal, and maybe will open their mind up to actually trying out some of the advice. So how did you come to be involved with Addict to Athlete? Because you now oversee operations for the entire state of New Mexico. So tell me about that part of your journey.
Yeah, you know, like I said, I was given this opportunity to be the first graduate of Addict to Athlete here in New Mexico. There was a there's a woman by the name of Elise Padilla. Matter of fact, she's my niece. She was co-executive here at Albuquerque Center for Hope and Recovery. And she says, listen, Uncle Johnny, I know you just got this DUI. You want to try this program? I said, not for me, you know? So I sat and I thought about it for about a week, and that light bulb went off in my head. Oh, maybe I could get some time off my sentence. Perfect. So she got me incorporated into this program. It was me and a facilitator, just us two, for months, sitting in a parking lot after our workouts, and it just clicked for me. You know, I just kept going and going and going. And, you know, once you see your body start to change, you know, your mind truthfully goes along with it. Because, you know, that being able to just let those endorphins just ring, dude, it's phenomenal.
Well, you like being high, so it was a natural way to
Yeah,
achieve that, right?
absolutely. You know, and I think at first that's what it was. But, you know, after coming to class week after week and day after day, and then starting to go to class when I didn't have to, and started eating right, and, you know, and watching myself grow, like, I think that was a really big pinnacle part in my sobriety.
I want to just take our listeners back for a moment because you mentioned time off your sentence. And as
Yeah.
I told you earlier today before we started recording, I've met you when I was in Pueblo visiting, and you have this great smile, and so like I was a different person back when I was an active addiction. We all are, so it's not a bad thing. But I think sharing part of that journey and what your sentence was, how much time you served, might be enlightening to folks out there who are saying, he's got it all together. I don't think I can do that, but they're sitting in those same shoes that you were in many years ago. So can you share about that?
Absolutely. You know, I was in Vermont years back, 2002, 2003. I moved out there, and I was, you know, I moved out with a girl, believe it or not. You know, things didn't work out. We remained friends after a while, but I was heading downtown on St. Patty's Day. I ran into a group of guys and just bumped one of them by accident. You know, it was packed. The streets are crowded. And I had a gentleman spit on me, degrade me. So I turned around and I punched him one time. But he was so wasted that he fell face first into the concrete. Broken nose, broken jaw, 8 teeth, you know. So they got me with aggravated assault with severe bodily injury. My first, they wanted to give me 23 years, truthfully, which was really bizarre. You know, I had lived there for 2 years upon when this had all happened. They said I had no ties to the community. You know, this gentleman had degraded me, called me racial slurs. So I defended myself. But yeah, they gave me a 2 to 10 year bid. I ended up serving 7.5 years.
Wow. Wow.
And
Wow.
you know, it was a really amazing journey. But I'm going to tell you this, you know, all in all, I'm really grateful for that experience in my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't say that I'm jaded. I can't say that I'm upset. It made me who I am. You know, it made me smarter. It made me very observant. You know, I was a stickler for following rules, you know, and, you know, all that structure, you know, I feel that it really benefited my life. in a positive manner, you know.
Mhm.
I graduated culinary arts school in there, so I have a culinary arts degree, you know. So I didn't just go in there and vegetate. I went in there, I worked out hard, I studied hard, you know. I became the person that I deserved to be.
Awesome. So then, and then you came to New Mexico after that, and then you got involved after being with the Albuquerque Center for Hope with the Addict to Athlete. And you say it just stuck. Like, in other words, from going from being someone who was disinterested, you were like the teacher's pet who wanted extra homework assignments, or was eating right, working out harder, doing all the right things.
You know, coming back to New Mexico right after a prison sentence, I went back to Colorado at first. I got back into the drinking. I got back into the alcohol, and that alcohol just tore everything apart for me. Then the alcohol, and then came the drugs. Then the drugs just got worse and worse, and it just was a big snowball effect for me. So I thought I'd remove myself from Colorado once again. Moved here to New Mexico with my mom and dad who had moved out here in 2000. And here I found myself again, finding the drugs, finding the alcohol, you know, that crowd, you know. And finally I got that third DUI. My Nino, my godfather, recently passed away a couple years ago. He picked me up when I got that third DUI from Madrid bail bonds right down the street. And, you know, he's always been such a positive influence in my life. Never yelled at me, was always just on his game, you know, and great advice. You know, we shut the door when he picked me up, and it was just mayhem. You know, I can't believe you, Johnny, this and this. And you know, when he finally said, I'm done with you. I'm done picking you up. I'm done, you know, bailing you out. I'm done. You know, he sat there. I'm recently a grandfather as well. You know, he said, think about it this way, Johnny. What would happen if you had killed somebody, or you had killed yourself, and somebody asked your grandson, hey, where's your grandpa at? Oh, you know, he's spending the rest of his life in prison. He killed somebody. Hey, where's your grandpa at? Oh, well, he passed away in a car accident, drunk driving. You know, that really hit home for me. So February 24th, that day I got my DUI, that was my last day of messing around, you could say.
But you said earlier when you first got to the center for Hope, you weren't exactly committed to the process, right? And then, but let me finish. But then at some point you said, let me try this 808 program out because maybe I'll get some time off my sentence.
Yeah.
But it clicked.
Yeah.
What made the light bulb go off? What was it about the workouts? What was it about the changes? Because you mentioned changes to your nutrition that made Johnny decide that Johnny actually wanted this rather than his family, his girlfriend, his ex-wife, whatever it is. What was it that made you want to stay sober?
What made me want to stay sober? That's a great question. You know, you hear so many people and they're like, I'm doing my sobriety and I'm doing it for only me. I'm taking my sobriety and this is my sobriety. My sobriety doesn't belong to me. My sobriety belongs to my daughter. My sobriety belongs to my mom and dad. My sobriety belongs to my sisters. You know, like it's bigger than just me. You know, I could sit here and go on and on and on, you know, about who I owe this to. You know, all the people that doubted me, all the people that threw me in jail, all the people that just had no faith, you know. And you know, the amazing thing is I went over to my mom and dad's house a couple weeks ago. You know, I spoke to my sister. We were outside in the backyard, you know, cleaning up my mom and dad's house and putting up a fence and doing this and doing that. And she stopped and she looked at me and she says, you know, it's great to have my brother back, you know. And I was like, oh, I was always here. You know, she was like, you weren't always here.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty profound.
Yeah, absolutely.
Profound.
Absolutely.
You mentioned earlier too that you saw your body changing, and that was part of the reason. Because you know, listen, we're guys, okay? Ego is very important to let's be honest, Johnny. But so what was it though about the workouts starting to see the physical transformation that actually matched the psychological transformation that you can't see? What was it about that physical transformation that got you committed?
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with my diet, you know, getting away from those sugars, getting away from all those nasty carbs that you can't handle and you can't process once you start to get a little older, you know, and then you just start building muscle. You start seeing that change. The fat just rolls right off you, man. And, you know, it's crazy. And it was just a really cool thing to experience. You know, I had always been fit. I had always played sports throughout my life and just been really active. Um, but in the midst of my addiction, I found myself at 122 pounds when I got arrested. I'm 196 pounds right now, you know, and to see that muscle just stay on your body and to feel good, like, and then to go about and do this curriculum that A2A has provided, you know, it just it lets you change on both sides of the spectrum.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk a little bit about not the specifics of the curriculum, but what the curriculum is about generally. And if people are interested in New Mexico and learning how they can participate in the curriculum or in the other states where Addict to Athlete operates, how do they go about reaching out to all of you?
First off, you could reach us through Albuquerque Center for Hope and Recovery. Once again, it's www.achrnm.org. We're located downtown Albuquerque, New Mexico, 913 2nd Street.
What's the curriculum like and what can people expect if they were to participate in the Addict to Athlete curriculum?
Um, you know, I guess it's kind of like anything that you do, you know, you get what you give. You know, if you take full on and you are interested and you are involved and you keep your mind rolling with this curriculum, it has possibilities that are endless.
I like the curriculum a lot because it reflects what worked for me, which was I didn't realize that I had to relearn my relationship
Yeah.
with nutrition. I had to relearn my relation, how to interact with people responsively. I had to relearn that relationship with my body and making amends to my body in the context of exercise. I mean, it's a profound curriculum and it goes for, I think, about 12 weeks. Is that how long it takes?
It's an 8-week curriculum, and you know that 8 weeks, I've been over it time and time and time again. And you know, the cool thing about ACHR and the A2A program, like this isn't. I could sit here with the book, or I could sit here with the curriculum, and you know, speak volumes to people that are coming into our program. But in all honesty, like that's my sobriety. Like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them, and vice versa. Like I get so much out of these participants and these members that come in and have so many great ideas. Like it's awesome.
Well, they say you can't keep what you have without giving it away. And I will tell you, when I wrote my book, I was given access to the statistical analysis of the 808 program that was done by an outside auditing firm based upon a grant that Addict to Athlete received. So it's the only program in the country which actually has support that it's both its curriculum and its lifestyle modifications in addition to its drug and alcohol counseling is working and does dramatically reduce the rates of relapse, but not only that, dramatically increase the health of the physical and the mental health of participants. You should be very proud to be part of that program. We've got to kind of move towards to wrap it up here. We haven't spoken about the fact that we're in a very tumultuous time in our country and the world as a whole. We're dealing with a pandemic. COVID-19, more people are dying every day than our country's ever in any war at this point on a daily basis. What's your message to people in recovery during these difficult times? And what are you doing differently now to try and, really solidify your base in recovery again during these unprecedented times?
Well, ACHR and the Addict to Athlete program is running our programs via Zoom. So we go Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 p.m. We also have a 7 o'clock class or a 7 a.m. class on Saturdays, because there's such
If people want to find that online, where do they go?
www.achrnm.org.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go.
No, that's quite all right. So with these programs, we go from Monday through Thursday. There's such a great span between Thursday and Monday's class that we thought we'd incorporate a Saturday class as well.
What are you doing differently in your recovery? What are you recommending people, the peers that you're counseling at the center or in Addict to Athlete? What advice has changed since COVID-19 has come? That's working for you and it's working for them. What can people benefit from, Johnny?
I think it's pretty much the same. Just stay connected, stay involved, stay on your game, and just keep these people in your corner that are willing to fight for you as much as you're willing to fight for yourself.
That's great. That's great advice. I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule at the center and your life to join me and to share, your vision of recovery and your experience, strength, and hope and success with people. I can't imagine how it must feel to sit here 3.5 years later and, be doing the things you're doing. And again, when I learned that you were incarcerated for that amount of time, I said, this offers hope to so many people who may be sitting in prison now or just gotten out and say, I can't get to that place. They may see you and actually believe in themselves more. So that being said, thank you again. If people are interested in reaching out to you or they're interested in reaching out to the center or A to A, how do they go about doing that?
You could reach out to me direct. You could reach out to our organization. That's Albuquerque Center for Hope and Recovery, www.achrnm.org, or you could reach us by telephone at 505-206-6593.
And what's your, if you don't mind, because you said they can reach you directly, sometimes I find that people want to talk to me directly. If people are looking for you on Facebook or other social media, how can they find you?
Look us, once again, Albuquerque Center for Hope and Recovery is on, we're on all platforms, Facebook.
Just all of them, Instagram, all the major social media sites.
But yeah, you could reach me on Facebook as well. That's the only platform that I'm on. But that is my direct number through my work line. So you're more than welcome to give me a call.
All right. Last time I saw you in Pueblo, I told you I wanted to come down to Albuquerque and get shown around and see what you're doing. There's a great, by the way, I will actually share it again on social media, the television coverage of your program that you received some years ago that I did share on Spiritual Adrenaline. I'll run that right when we're running this interview so people can get a feel for what it is exactly you're doing. Again, thank you so much. You're saving lives every day. I hope to come see you when I'm down in New Mexico. I wish you and your family health and happiness during these really, really tumultuous times. Please give everybody at the center as well my love and my thoughts are with everybody.
Thank you, Thomas, and much appreciated.